You think perfume is just a luxury today, something you spritz on before a date or a big meeting. What if I told you that centuries ago, perfume wasn't just about smelling good? It was a weapon of power, a tool for controlling entire empires. Forget about modern marketing for a second and let's travel back in time. We're going to uncover how ancient kings and queens used fragrance not just as a status symbol, but as an invisible force to influence emotions, control massive crowds, and even manipulate their own soldiers before they marched into the horrors of battle. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a forgotten chapter of history, a story of scent, psychology, and power that has been hiding in plain sight. Imagine standing in the court of an ancient ruler. The air is thick with the scent of rare incense, exotic flowers, and precious resins. You might think it's just to mask the unpleasant smells of a crowded city. But you'd be wrong. Every single fragrance was a carefully calculated choice. Ancient kings, queens, and their advisors were masters of what we might now call aromatherapy, or even psychological warfare. They understood something fundamental about human nature. Scent bypasses our rational thought and goes straight to the emotional centers of our brain. They knew that specific smells could trigger very specific feelings. For example, a calming scent like lavender or sandalwood might be used during delicate negotiations to foster a sense of trust and openness. It was a subtle way of disarming potential rivals, making them more pliable and agreeable without them even realizing why. The air itself was designed to make people feel at ease, to lower their defenses. But it wasn't all about creating peace and harmony. Scent was also a powerful tool for projecting authority and instilling fear. Picture a king addressing his subjects. He might be wearing a powerful, commanding fragrance, something with notes of rich leather, dark oud, or pungent spices. This wasn't just his personal preference. This scent would fill the throne room, becoming inextricably linked with his presence, with his power. Over time, people would come to associate that specific aroma with authority, with majesty, and with the undeniable presence of their ruler. When you smelled that scent, you didn't just smell a perfume. You smelled power itself. It was a constant, subconscious reminder of who held the ultimate authority, working on a level far deeper than any spoken decree. This manipulation extended beyond the royal court and onto the battlefield. Think about soldiers preparing for a fight. They're facing fear, uncertainty, and the very real possibility of death. Ancient commanders knew that morale was everything. So, what did they do? They used scent. Certain fragrances were believed to boost courage, increase aggression, and create a sense of unity among the troops. Imagine soldiers anointing themselves with oils infused with strong, stimulating scents like pine or certain animal musks before charging into battle. These aromas were intended to heighten their senses, trigger their adrenaline, and forge a powerful, shared identity. When they smelled that scent, they weren't just individuals anymore. They were a single, unified force, bonded by a common aroma that symbolized their strength and purpose. It was a way to override fear with a primal, scented trigger for aggression and brotherhood. And let's talk about religion and ritual. In ancient temples all over the world, from Egypt to Rome to the Far East, incense was burned constantly. Frankincense, myrrh, copal, these sacred resins were believed to please the gods and purify the space. But there was another, more earthly purpose. They knew that a carefully crafted fragrance could make their subjects feel devotion, inspire loyalty, or make their enemies tremble with fear. Perfume wasn't just an accessory. It was a fundamental part of their arsenal of control. Now, let's bring it back to the present day. You might be thinking, that's fascinating history, but what does it have to do with me? Well, everything. The same ancient tactics are still being used today, just in a different context. Why do you think luxury brands spend millions of dollars developing a signature scent for their stores? When you walk into a high-end hotel, a designer boutique, or even a car dealership, that specific, pleasant smell you notice isn't an accident. It's a carefully engineered fragrance designed to make you feel a certain way, to make you feel relaxed, to make you feel sophisticated, to make you feel that you belong in that space of luxury. They are using scent to create a desire for their products, to build a sense of trust, and ultimately, to foster brand loyalty. They are mimicking the exact same strategies used by ancient kings to make you desire, obey, and remain loyal. When you buy a bottle of expensive perfume or cologne, you're not just buying scented alcohol. You're buying an identity. You're buying a feeling. The commercials show powerful, beautiful, successful people, and the scent becomes the liquid embodiment of that fantasy. The brands are selling you a silent signal of authority, a modern, invisible crown. That feeling of confidence you get when you wear your favorite fragrance. Part of that is the brand successfully tapping into that ancient, primal part of your brain that associates certain smells with power, status, and desire. They are leveraging thousands of years of olfactory manipulation to sell you a product. The game hasn't changed, only the players have. Instead of kings and queens, it's now corporations and marketing teams. But the goal remains the same: to influence your emotions and behavior through the invisible power of scent. So the next time you smell a perfume, don't just think about whether you like the scent or not. Think about what it's trying to make you feel. What memory is it trying to trigger? What identity is it trying to sell you? The world of fragrance is far deeper and darker than most people imagine. It's a world of hidden messages, psychological triggers, and ancient power plays that are still at work all around us every single day. And we've only just scratched the surface. This brings us to our next episode, where we're going to take this concept into the modern era and look at a case that is truly unbelievable. In episode 5, you'll discover the shocking story of how a secret perfume formula, allegedly based on these ancient principles, was reportedly used to manipulate love and desire in the highest echelons of modern society. It's a story of romance, betrayal, and the scientific weaponization of scent. The truth will absolutely change the way you see every fragrance you've ever owned or smelled. You do not want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.